sapiens. The word guidance originated in 1530 and is defined as the process of directing conduct. Career guidance can be defined as a comprehensive developmental program designed to assist individuals in making and implementing informed educational and occupational choices. In simple words, it is a journey on which people develop to make mature and informed decisions. It is the act of guiding or showing the way. It is the act of seeking advice. In an age where career queries are not uncommon, it is important to answer queries related to career in general. As Sir introduced to us Mr. Arindam Nath, who is the spokesperson of today's webinar. Sir, we are privileged to have you with us this evening as the spokesperson of today's event. Before we proceed further, let me explain to all the participants on how you can interact with us during the session. If you have any queries during the presentation, just write them to the chat box and they will be addressed by your speaker. Besides, we also have the question answer session at the end of the program when Mr. Nath will interact with you directly and will answer to your queries. On this note, I would like to turn the time over to Mr. Arindam Nath and request him to kindly start the presentation. Over to you, sir.
Thank you all for the kind words. Thank you, Shantanu, for the introduction. Thank you, Mr. Malay, for the introduction as well. And Avijit for organizing this at a very short span. So by the time, I guess I don't have to repeat my name, that I'm Arindam, and everybody is aware of that. So before I go on to the presentation, just a short, I just want to keep it short that why I had taken this initiative. See, first thing is, which I fundamentally believe, if you see the world outside today, this pandemic and everything, most of the good things are going to get behind bars, a wall gate with money. You have access only with money. Today you can buy courses at Udemy, Coursera, and lots of other places with money. But there are also lots of people like me who want to do it, who has got nothing to do with money. Like with God's grace, we are placed really high within our industries. So we are not, I'm actually not out here right now for looking after money. I want, the biggest problem that I face when I was working, and I'm still working, right? And I have faced it earlier also, is the quality of people whom we get from colleges. Somewhere down the line, there is a huge disconnect, which I feel between who join us in the office and what's taught in the college. I wanted to bridge that gap. I wanted everybody to be industry ready by the time they are actually looking out for the job. And it is very simple. And that is what I'm going to explain in today's class. And after this webinar, probably we are going to arrange workshops. I'm working with some close friends of mine who are again going to do it for free again. As I said, nothing should be behind payment parts, right? We are going to organize webinars with the latest technology the industry is looking for, and that is what's going to give you all guys an edge. So let me start with the presentation, and then as we move forward, we'll interact more and get things moving. So I'll share my screen. Just let me know if you guys can see it. Is it visible to all?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, yes, sir. It is perfectly visible.
Thank you. So the topic for today is the industry. It is a kind of career counseling as well as to what gave the birth to the so-called name, the open source college. We'll come to all of these items today. So I really would like to give this, skip this introduction, but I just wanted everybody to know that I grew up in Kolkata, and then I studied from the University of Wales, which was game development. It was very non-traditional program. I didn't want to do BTech. After that, I came in India, and I saw that the game industry is really not that big in India as it was in foreign. and I moved to a different journey as altogether. The reason why I'm just highlighting this part of my career, it's never too late to understand what suits right for you. It's not like that you have to stick to something that you have done in college. You can always diversify. That's the only reason why I wanted to highlight this part. The rest of it, you guys can visit me on LinkedIn if you have. By the end of the program, I'm definitely going to stress on having LinkedIn profiles in your professional career. That's really important. But we'll come to that in a short bit. So the first thing, I'll take questions later, but this is an open question which I want some of you to answer. At least I want 5 to 6 answers. What comes to your mind when you think of the IT industry? Uh, so anybody can answer, like just a couple of thoughts. Hello?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yeah, can you just
Students kindly uh, answer this to sir's question. Any random thoughts which comes to your mind? Voluntarily,
anyone can answer, and there is no right or wrong. Nobody is going to get prosecuted for this. Okay, so just be free and just let's take this question. Okay, I see somebody has pinked projects 9 to 5 job. Okay, that's something. And okay, we really don't have an enthusiastic crowd, it seems. Oh,
Come on,
working
students.
software.
Come on, students. You can come up with some better answers. You'll be entering into this world very soon, right? So you can come up with some better answers. Yes, now, sir, we are getting some answers.
Monday
Yes.
and daily work.
Yes.
Any
IT
business model, right? Okay. Fine, good. So we have certain thoughts of what people think about the IT industry. Uh, Definitely, I would like to clear this because this is the very first thing, right? The first thing which I tell most of the freshers who join under me is like IT industry, you will have to understand how the industry works. We have something which we call as SaaS and PaaS models. Uh, the first point that was given, projects and 9 to 5 jobs, these are companies who work for businesses and provide solutions for them. These are not product companies. Take, for example, Cognizant, TCS, Wipro. They are not product companies. How many of you would be really happy to go ahead and join Google, Facebook, Walmart, Uber? I think a lot of you, Apple, everybody wants to go and join there. But do you know what differentiates these big companies from these companies like TCS, Wipro, and all? They're product companies. In the current company that I work, Sapiens is a product company. We sell products to insurance companies, so it has a very definitive guideline. It has a big R&D budget and things like that. It's a very different landscape altogether. Most of these companies which don't do product like TCS and all, they are governed by the so-called client customers who give them the tech stack. So a very big difference in terms of how you think, how you get approach to the industry. And not all product companies are big. Most of the product companies start small, right? So that's number one. Number two, not everything is 9 to 5 job. If you feel like today it is going to be monotonous, it's going to be mundane and so-called terms, I'm going to say upright, then probably it's time that you should start thinking of a different course in your life, because this is not something that's going to get you anywhere in your life. The reason is, if I don't do what I like, right, automatically it will be just a method of feeding me and tomorrow my family and my kids. uh, Even today, even today I was learning something new, right? I code actively even at my current experience. I help people write and debug code. So there are lots of things that you guys need to come up. And people think, okay, it's working with softwares. No, it is not working with softwares. Then what do you think the HR department does? What do you think the project manager department does? What do you think the sales department does? If there was just working with softwares, then what was the other department for? So there are lots of things that we have a common misunderstanding. Probably that understanding comes only when you work. And I want to open that up very I want to really bring that picture up front. The reason is I don't want everybody to get lost as doers. Even this presentation that I'm doing right now, the skill of that is something that I have learned during my work process. Nobody has taught me this thing. How to write your presentation, how to do the research behind it. All of this is behind. Now, the first thing you'll have to understand this skill gap and this common misunderstanding of what we have during our college days versus what is actually the reality of the industry causes a big difference between people like us who hire lots of people and people like you who are looking out for job. Very few people get this notion. Okay, so that's the reason why there is a huge skill gap in India. We don't have skilled labor. And that's the reason, number one reason why most of the political parties, I don't want to get into it, but give you the false hopes that we will get you jobs and things like that. But they are not going to help you anyway in skilling up. People will give you free marks, they will let you pass and do a hell lot of things, but they won't be worried about providing you the proper education because I don't know how many of you are Bengalis or if it's a mixed group, because if you have seen a Satyajit film, the Hirokraja Deshe, it clearly had that theme, underlying theme overall, right? Where people were like trying to get people off studying because the more you know, the more knowledge you gain, the more you will start opposing. So it's a very different thing, right? So, and this is one of the biggest problems that even I face. Like probably if I take 100 interviews, I'll select 2 people. And that's being very frank. And the reason really makes me sad because I know a lot of these freshers come and tell me, oh, sir, I have so many family obligations. Please give me a chance and things like that. But I cannot because you are not up to the mark. And I don't want that to happen. I want everybody to get the chance. Yeah, this is another figure. And this is also, I'll probably share these slides and you can see it from your seniors or your professors later on. They have specific sources also. These news are not just random. Only like 46.82, which is like less than 50%. And that too Indian graduates who are BTech, which is a very big field of which IT is another part, are actually employable, which is very sad again. Most of these people are from tier 1, tier 2 colleges. So we also have tier 3, tier 4 and tier 5 and so many others. Then what about them? Should they remain unemployed? No. I have seen great guys, like I have seen folks like who have passed out from tier 4 colleges working now in US in big companies and earning in dollars. So if that is what it is, right? So it's not that. There is always a way. It's just like people need to know how to hack and go into that way. Right? So yeah, so I have given you the problems, but what is good a problem if I don't tell you how do you solve it? So first thing first, I thought of this initiative when COVID actually disrupted the education system a lot. I had my fair share in the education industry called something called Next Education. They were primarily for till class 12. And I know that there are various means of imparting education in the digital world itself, which I have seen my friends who are teachers and all struggle initially, but eventually found a way. It's not like you will have to buy big software products and all. Most of it is free if you know where to look. The second is I will help you guys over time with workshops and other things plot a path that how should you handle your initial years. There is a time span for everything. Like first 3 years you should be doing this. Next 2 years you should be concentrating on this. Next 3 years you should be doing this. This is very important. You just don't go into a lead or management level on year 1. That is not possible until and unless you are exceptional, which is also sometimes the case. I'm not disagreeing to that. But most of us have a career path. We'll have to first learn some software development or be a junior tester or be a junior project coordinator or things like that. And then we initially go to the path that we chart. So I'll tell you there are different careers and you guys can all look out for that. And then, of course, the biggest thing that is missing in India, which I find in the UK or the US embrace literally, is internship culture. Most of the people, like even I did jobs during my first year, second year, and third year of college. I had 3 years. I did job in all the 3 years. The reason why I did that was a normal thing. Nobody looks down at you because you're doing a job. You're just earning. People don't want to stay under the umbrella of their fathers and mothers. They want to be independent very soon, right? And that is what I also had done. I had done freelancing for a very long time. I had learned a lot of concepts. I had learned the concept of encryption. I don't know how many of you know that. During a freelance project, I've learned the concept of database during a freelancing project. But yeah, so freelancing, internship, these type of things is something that we need to bring. Like it is, you don't get a havoc amount of money, but at least you get exposed. You know how the internals work. What are the tools of the trade? You get to understand that. And then stress on hands-on learning. This is very important. Most of us, a lot of people, I still have taken interviews, not of this college, but of other colleges. They still prefer writing code on a pen and paper. I was like, what? Which century are you living in? Nobody writes code on a pen and paper. Everything is done ultimately in a computer. You can think about the flow. You can think about your so-called algorithm and the steps, but you cannot write your code on pen and paper. So having hands-on, having working more and more is something very important. And the more you code, it's just like doing maths. The more you code, the better you get at it. So that's the reason why I always need to code. Because today, as a project manager, if somebody is telling me, oh, I need 2 hours to do this. And if I don't know how to code, I will agree to him. Probably he needs only 30 minutes. So I would really say, okay, you need 30 minutes. You can give me a buffer of another 30 minutes. But 2 hours is just double, right? So that is very important, having hands-on learning knowledge as well. So careers in the industry. So I was just coming to it, right? You guys had written certain things, but as I said, there are lots of careers. There are architects within our industry, which is on the top of the food chain in terms of technical knowledge. I used to be an architect in my previous company. Then there are managers, which is something which I do. Architects and managers can also have combined roles. These are all senior positions. There is UX and UI. How many of you remember IRCTC website a couple of years back? Nobody would dare even use it. Today, if Swiggy or say Zomato had a crappy UI where you would have pain searching through the application, you would get nothing. And trust me, when you work with foreign clients, they are least bothered about functionality. If your application does not look good, you are there. Your product is dead. You don't make a single penny out of it. The first requirement is it should look good. It should be usable. It should be user-friendly. So UI and UX is a very underrated talent, which is just shooting up in India because I see the COVID site. Probably it has its flaws where you cannot book your vaccines and all. That's a very different technical problem, I would say. But at least the presentation of the site is good. It has changed over time, and this is very important. That's the reason why people who have good UI skills, who are good with Photoshop and other things, have equal demands and get almost equal salaries to top programmers. That's the very reason. Apple, Walmart, Google, everybody has great UX and UI managers. Okay, so definitely all of these streams have their own managers, by the way. Then we have designers. These are more specific to the designing part, the look and feel, the CSS, the styling, and everything, right? So if it did not have good designs, as I said, it's not going to be of no point. Then front-end engineers, we break it down. Like take, for example, people who work only on the web app part are front-end engineers. Then people who work on the back-end logic, which I don't know how many of you are, probably in the future workshops, we'll all have workshops for most of these items, right? Who are back-end engineers who work with the servers and things like that. They're what we call back-end engineers. There is also a type where people are both front-end and back-end engineers, which has the highest demand in the market, whom if you today's job search, do a quick search on Google, are called full-stack engineers. And this is the biggest demand. And My workshops in the future is trying to create full stack engineers, and the reason is very simple. They have such a high demand in the market and such good salaries that growing in the industry is very easy. Then we have cloud engineers, people who are expertise in just deployment alone. These all terms have come up recently because when COVID hit, right, a lot of things had to move to automation. We had support engineers who used to previously sit day in and day out at night, looking if there is an issue in the system. Now everybody does with that, even with code, right? There are lots of tools to do that. I cannot, even if I want, I don't want to get into it because these are all interesting topics and we can have separate webinars and workshops based on these. Data science, ML, and AI. Somebody who is with technology might have already heard about these terms. There is data science, there is data scientist, there is machine learning, and there is AI. And everything is matured like really fast. Uh, Project managers, a stream of managers. I just wanted to focus because project or program managers are equally important because they give the ultimate shape and of what needs to go at what time, at what budget. So there are lots of things, right? Everything is money after all. There are trainers, so there is an entire learning and learning department. So Cognizant, Infosys, Wipro, once you join them, you have a 6 months course you have to go through as a fresher before you can actually work. But though that can be cracked if everybody is actually aware, because people hide these information which I'm giving you right now. Nobody tells you upfront that what actually happens in the industry. So, but there are trainers and all which are of equal importance. Quality assurance. What is a product good if there is no quality? There is manual, there is automation, then there are auditors of the software. So what do you will hear terms like CMI level 5, CMI level 3, ISO certified. Why do you have quality assurance? Take for example, in the insurance domain that I work, if a certain person's valuable information like say username password for credit cards or other things which was used as a payment methods go out, then it's going to be a huge loss for the company. They will have to face numerous amount of legal problems, right? That's where auditors come in. They make sure that all your infrastructure are as per standards. ISO, CMMI, all these are nothing but standards. So there are people who just focus on that. So now coming back to the first question which I asked, like what do you think about the IT industry? See, there are so many jobs. Not everything is actually coding. So some people who might not feel like, okay, my entire life, I need to write code. There are alternatives. It's not just going to end at one place. It's just you need to understand and get to have some hands-on via some internship or some freelancing or using such workshops or hackathons. Understand what is it that suits you the best. So that is what is important over here, right? So there are lots of careers. Now go and think after this session, go and think with an open mind. Now what do I want to do? What is my career graph? The first thing you need to jot down is a career graph, just like what we do for investments and all, right? I'm investing 1,000 rupees today. What is going to give me 10 years after? So same thing over here. What is my career graph? You should ask that question today itself and see whether you see yourself as a programmer or a tester or an auditor or a manager. If you in manager, which type of manager, project manager or some different manager, and you will find that there is something there for you because it's a huge industry. It is actually the biggest industry. Apple is a 3 trillion company. So think about the zeros. I'm not even counting it. So that is what it is, right? So skills. Now coming to skills, right? So as I said, some of these skills which I think everybody should take up even before starting their work is UI UX. It's quality coding. The word I'm using, quality coding, right? It's not just coding. The reason is there are things like unit testing. You should be testing your own code. It's not like, okay, I have written the code. I don't know whether it's going to work or not. No, that's not how the industry works. You will be penalized. Trust me. Tomorrow in your office, you won't get a good increment if your code is not quality code. As simple as it is. Like I have been penalized in my earlier days. Then management of your own work. We have to do management at some extent. It's not like you have to be a manager for it. So time management, for example. I'm asking you how much time you need to do this. You need to give me a proper time estimation for it. And then, of course, there are certain methods of how you need to track it. All of these big companies have processes. So that is also equally important. They teach you actually, these are the things that you learn in the first 6 months. I'm just giving you this information, like, so that you know what you actually expect. And next time, whenever you appear for an interview, you know that, okay, these are the type of things which I'm already aware of. You need to start that. Soft skills. Okay, what is I have seen a lot of people with really great coding skills go nothing in their life, but get stuck at a single level. The reason is they do not have good conversation skills. So somewhere we are still have that colonial mindset that English is superior than other language, though I don't believe that. But today, if you are handling clients, or today, if you're meeting different people, if you're not fluent and if you cannot speak properly, trust me, somewhere or the other, it will affect your growth. It is very important. So you need to be outspoken. You need to know how to make presentations. You need to present yourself at the end of the day, right? Whenever think of it this way. You're trying to get a job. It's very similar to you trying to sell something, right? A shopkeeper tries to sell you a product, and he will expect certain money of it. The profit that he makes will depend on the type of product he's selling. Same thing is here. Today, if you're trying to sell yourself to someone, you need to make sure that you present yourself pretty well. You can tell, okay, I know this, and of course, prove it. It's not just I know part of it. I know this and I know this, and then you can get to the highest bidder that who will give you the most amount of money for the product they are purchasing. It's as simple as that. So that was about the industry, and there are so many things. I know it will be a very huge download for you guys, but there are so many things out there. So why did I conceptualize of this community called the Open Source College? People who are aware of like the word open source, it generally means something that is free and readily usable. And a lot of tools of this trade are actually usable. Even companies use free software because they don't want to pay money, they want to make profits. So why not, in my thought process, why not help youngsters who are aspirants for getting better jobs, or even are in the first year or second year of their working lives, make them use these tools and be better at something. So that's the reason why I thought, okay, the name open source and definitely the college, because I wanted to teach this community, right? And as I said, I was sitting idle during this pandemic. I was really bored. I had nothing to do. I had played games a lot. I wrote code a lot. But then at the end of the day, I felt something's missing and I should give back something to this world, right? And that's the reason why I thought, okay, let's start with the open source college. And there are like-minded folks like me who are really passionate as what they do. They said they also jumped into the wagon, and you will have workshops with them if you stick with us into the end of this journey, till we can help you also get internships, because these people are really high placed in the industries, right? So that's the reason why I thought of naming it the Open Source College. Now, another quick question. How many of you are aware of the Khan Academy? Anybody has heard about this name? I know people who are actually professors. Okay, somebody has actually. And anybody else? Oh, okay. So you know what is Khan Academy? Khan Academy, first of all, people who don't know, has nothing to do with Salman Khan, Shah Rukh Khan, or Hamid Khan. Okay, Khan Academy is another Salman Khan, by the way. So he was a founder of a platform which gives free education. It is much for a preliminary level, like KG, nursery till 12, and he gives out courses for free. Right, same thing. So I was very much inspired by this guy in my earlier days, especially when I worked with Next Education. I wanted to do something like that. And that's the first thing that came to my mind when I thought about, oh, let's open the open source college and we'll give people like free education and stuff like that. So that's the reason why I just put on the slide Khan Academy. Right? Definitely, see, a part of this thing is I came to know about these because I spend a lot of time reading, and information is so readily available. Install apps like Flipboard, install apps like Medium, and you will find so many interesting blogs to read. Information is knowledge, nothing else, sir. So that's the reason why Google is one of the most biggest company when it comes to information, because it sells you at the end of the day. But the amount of information Google has, it can ruin your life if they want. If somebody wants to get into the servers and ruin your life, right? So nothing is bigger than information. So remember this all the time. Google, Facebook, yeah, everybody has your information, by the way. So just as brief as I said, I just wanted to keep this brief, that what is this open source college? First of all, I wanted to develop a community for students and freshers and impart this knowledge for free. It will always be free. I will never charge anybody for learning, right? And I think that is what this country should have done a long time back. There are people like me, of course, who do it. And I would also like to be a part of this community where certain things should always be free, just like breathing. I'll help you guys build these portfolios and build better CVs. A part of my CV where I got 2 job offers from Google, which I didn't take for a very different reason, was because I followed certain guidelines. I used GitHub. I don't know how many of you have used it. I used to write code, and I still push code actively on GitHub. That is something that highlighted. And the way you write your CV. Most of you guys write CV, but actually I write resume. My CV, even with a 10 years experience, is just 2 pages long. As I said, it's not a CV, it's a resume. So how you write it. So I will even help you that. Naukri takes money for that. You will find paid services. I can tell you for free how to do that. But before that, you guys have to be ready. Of course, that's a disclaimer. And then definitely set up periodic webinars with people like you, and definitely interested people like you, to talk about these different roles that I've just went into it, and have actual sessions. Like, I want people to learn JavaScript. I want people, and if you guys follow the community, I don't know how many have started it. It's just a V code, by the way. I want you guys to learn these different stuff, and there are plenty of material online available for free, right? I go through it daily. I can collate it. I have started posting it. There are lots of people who do that. So you guys can still learn these things even sitting at home. You don't require intervention. Then definitely provide certification at some point in time, not immediately, that that you have completed certain projects with us. Cultivate the idea of quality software development. This is something which I focus on a lot, because your code should be something that should be good. A lot of these things, take for example, React, right? I don't know if you have heard about React, Angular, and all. Even Android, yeah, let's take for Android. How can I forget Android? Android is an open source project, right? You can go to Google and you can download the entire Android source code. You can modify it, and you can build your own version of Android. That's the reason why it has the biggest adoption in the cell phone industry. iOS has a very limited culture over there, right? So think open source. It's given to you for free. People's such a huge collated thought, an operating system, even Linux. And so who am I kidding? Linux is one of my favorite operating system. Like, I have 3 systems, okay, because I like to play around with technology a lot. I have Mac, I have Linux, and I have Windows. And of course, Ubuntu is one of the favorite ones that I have, because you can have it in your pen drive itself. I'm that tech savvy. And then, of course, help you connect with companies and other peoples so that you can get employments in terms of internship or full-time hiring. And of course, as I said, I'm stressing on this fact again. Never think I'm going to charge you guys for money. If anybody in that community charges you money, please come and tell me. I'm going to kick that person out. So, yeah. So how will this help you land a better job? And the reason why I say that is, there are certain methods of building a portfolio. Like, I have a YouTube channel of my own, where I had done lots of uploading, especially in the Western world, in UK and US, when you go to, why people go to study abroad? Because there is a very different thought process of the way people think. People don't chase marks over there. My I'm saying this in an open forum, my average CGP is actually 60%. It's not more than that. But in UK, it's actually huge. 60% is, yeah, good. You're really good, guys. Nobody has 100 over there, definitely not 90s and all. There are very less people over there. But what they actually help us teach is, I am developing something as a part of my project, say in my final year also. I had to sell it. I don't have to explain it. Okay, this is the type of coding I have done, and so on, and this is the technology, blah blah blah. Nobody cares. Today, if are you bothered about how Swiggy was made or what Swiggy gives you? Do you even know what is the tech stack in Swiggy? Whether it used Java, Node.js, Python, etc. What was the database, which cloud it is hosted on? Nobody cares. People are all about the experience. If it is good, I'm going to buy it. If it is not, I'm not going to buy it. The sooner you understand this and bring it in your daily lives when you are actually doing your different projects or working on different things, the better it is. Because at the end of the day, people are going to rate you with what you have created, not how you have created it. So building a portfolio is very important. This was taught to me at a very early age, right? I really like, and big companies do that. I'll give you an example with my interview with Sapiens. The guy from Israel, the director who called me up, he actually looked into my LinkedIn profile and he asked me what was the last commit for a project called Parikha. That's what I was making. I was making an assessment tool. Again, I do write a lot of code, and it was a way of me learning Vue.js and all. So he actually literally asked me, okay, what do you want to gain with this? How do you think you can improve on this? And things like that. Even I do that. If in a CV I see a GitHub link, or even if you think about companies like Google, Walmart, and all, they stress on this a lot. They will, because they know, okay, I can see what this guy already does. 50% of my filtering is done. I can write anything on my CV. I know X, Y, and Z, but that does not prove anything. But actually, when I have done that thing in my real life, I have written that code, it is present somewhere for you to view for free or even use for free. People know. Even my early days as a developer, if I'll share you those links in GitHub, I had so many followers on the various Android libraries I had created. So the same thing is applicable for you. Whenever you are doing something outside your college, this is up to you. You will have to spend that extra time. Create something, build something, show it to the world that this is how you build. It can be a very small thing. It need not be always the next big idea, right? But start small. Create groups who can think like that. Having a group of friends is always good. I have friends from not only good colleges like IIM and IITs. I have friends from other schools and colleges also. We think about ideas whenever we discuss, right? Whenever we sit together. Some of our discussion are, of course, personal and all that. But at the same time, we discuss about ideas. Okay, if we did this, how would this startup be like? Our thought process always works like that. And that's the reason why Bangalore has so many startups, right? There are groups of people who think like. So again, now coming back to this. So building a portfolio is very important. First of all, today at the end of the session and by tonight, if you guys don't have LinkedIn, definitely go ahead and create that profile. You might be a student, does not matter. Create the LinkedIn profile. And definitely follow my page. Of course, I would stress on that part. Follow the Open Source College and follow us for these tips and tricks. Next, if you write code which is in your free time, where probably you're creating a website or doing some XYZ work, upload it. Create a GitHub link. Upload that data. Create a YouTube channel and link it to your GitHub, showing that, okay, this is the output and this is how it looks. Do that. There is a place called CodePen where you can write short snippets of code which people can find useful. So and even you can use Stack Overflow, which I have missed. You can go to Stack Overflow and post if say somebody is stuck with certain pieces of code. See if you can solve that person's problem. Because the biggest joke is everybody goes to Stack Overflow, right? For anything. If anybody is into development will know that. Those are the first links Google will suggest to you. Networking is very important. The more people you meet, the more people and LinkedIn is one of the biggest platforms when it comes to networking on the so-called your career path, right? It's not like Facebook and all where you upload photos and videos of doing TikTok dances and things like that. It's a very different networking. But yeah, networking is equally important. Follow groups, follow like-minded groups that can help you grow, and definitely contribute to the open source community, because there are lots, as I said, Android is a free project. There are lots of free projects like that where you can at least contribute a little small bits and highlight that in your CV, probably give a link that this is what you have contributed. People will start noticing, like they will understand that this guy knows how to code, because you can only contribute when you know how to code. So yeah, so those are the ways, and some of it which I have already discussed, that how we try to make you better is like meaningful workshops. Most of our workshops will have a problem statement. The first thing, I'm not going to guys teach any of you guys learn how to code, right? I'm not going to teach you guys how to write Java code or JS code or anything. Those are the things which will be prerequisites. I really don't have the time because I do it on weekends. And as I said, it's a free social service. Most of the people whom I work with also do it over the weekend. Uh, we'll give you the concept, we'll give you the tools of the trade, and probably we will have working sessions of letting you know how to use it. But we will not teach you how to code. We can help you with that if you're stuck. That's of course a thing taken. But at least tell you what are the tools. What are these open source tools? There is so many things. There is Node.js, there is React, there is Python. There are so many tools. And what are the packages and stuff to use? We'll have those workshops and we'll tell you how to do it. And at the end of every workshop, you will be given a task. This task needs to be performed in a certain way. Like take, for example, you will need to create a plan. You will need to create a documentation, like a flow chart of how you want to execute it. You need to write your algorithm. Then you need to write your code. You need to write your unit test cases. You need to run it on SonarQube, upload it on GitHub, upload it on YouTube. This is the entire process. The reason why I'm stressing on these facts, this is exactly how people, when I used to be a developer, and even developers today work in the industry. Trust me, this is the exact same process. Do you think everybody, especially in the job life, there is even lesser handholding? You should be thanking your professors. Right now, they're doing such a lots of handholding. Nobody cares about you there. Okay, if you don't perform, they will fire you. Hard fact, but swallow it out right now. Okay, so if I tell you what are the tools we actually use internally, and if you get used to that upfront, you will already know that what is your work going to be like, and then you can think on whether how you want your career path to go. Okay, but I'll tell you all of it. Then definitely certifications for workshops, and if there are mentors amongst you, like who have learned and who want to go into this mentorship stuff, definitely I'll help you also get certificates so that we can tell that you have been a mentor of this community. Internship, as I said, and I'll help you write better CVs. I'll probably give you my CV. You can see the format and you can just copy it. No problem. Keep your CVs and resume short. Okay. Insights. If you follow, like my friend Riaz and others are already, we have already started a curated list within the community. We are posting daily that different tools, what is the current trend like, what are the different technologies in use. We'll give you the latest one. It's not like you're going to be outdated. I'll tell you what is the latest thing right now, so that it's like a proper investment. If you invest on this right now, you will have a proper growth in your career. Take, for example, when I joined, Java was a big thing. Now people prefer Python and Node.js as the first thing when it comes to development for backend technologies. It has evolved. It will again evolve. We can't help it. But knowing what is the next big thing is important. Of course, I would always prefer somebody to learn Java because the basics are the same, object-oriented programming. The concept is always going to be the same. If you have big ideas, I'll help you. Don't worry. I'm always with big ideas. And social networking channels for daily Reader's Digest, which, as I said, I'm going to make daily posts, if not daily, 2 to 3 posts a week, so that you guys can follow and learn from these sources. So the way the workshops will work is it will be very similar to hackathon. problem statement will be given. And as I said, you guys will be focusing mostly on the problem statement and how it will be done. I told you the method on how it will be done. And as I said, we aren't going to teach you any languages. We'll just tell you how to execute something. This is exactly how a product company works. This is how you might have heard about youngsters building the big company. Actually, they also work on a very similar way. People in IIT and all those places, they have a very similar mindset. So we'll also I'll help you guys bring that mindset. Okay. Probably, as I said, weekends. So 2 days working session we can have in initial days when I give you the problem statement of the workshop. Take, for example, the first workshop which I have thought of is about building a website. So we'll tell you how to use HTML, how to use CSS, and where to use JS, and how to host your website using GitHub. That will be the workshop, the working session part. Next 1 week, most of you guys will be creating your own website. That can be your own portfolio or anything which you guys feel like, and you're going to host it. At the end of that week, we'll have another follow-up session where you guys will give a presentation, because these skills are important. You guys will give us a presentation, we'll give you a feedback, and then we will give you a certification that you have completed this specific course. This is how it is going to work. So today it's a website, tomorrow it can be some web application, say to maintain colleges register or something like that, or build any type of thing. So we'll come up with creative ideas on that, right? And anything that is really good, I'll make sure that it is posted in our community channel on LinkedIn, Facebook, and others what we have, with your name and the link to the project, so the world can go, and you can even proudly brag that in your CV, so that you can say that, hey, I have completed these things and I really know how to code and I really know how the industry works. As simple as that. Post workshops, definitely, as I said, internships and all, they are in plan. But first I need people. So until and unless I'm getting people, I am not going to talk too much about it. Publish, but definitely you guys should publish all of your work on GitHub as open source projects, so that people who are actually eligible for hiring can go through it. You can even insist during your hiring process that please go through this. Like, I have already done that. This is the code. Because they'll ask, and then you can stress on that fact. And one thing which even I do today, see a code I had written 2 years back, right? What I'll do is, today if I have learned something new, I'll revisit that code and we will rewrite it, because I want to keep it updated as much as possible. So this is something that will help you learn and grow, and this is something which you should also do. If you had done something good sometime back, and if you have learned something better, try to do it better, okay, the next time. Yeah, definitely, as I said. So the first workshop which I said would be about the website. Actually, I'm faster than the slides. Would be definitely about the websites. I want community managers, because I want a lot of people to learn. I just don't want it to be limited. So if you have friends, family who are interested in learning or interested in the concept that I have shared so far, please do reach out to them. And you guys can interested people who want to help me build this community can also reach out to me. Of course, this should not affect your studies. This is the first thing which I'm going to stress. Okay, this should not affect your studies. But apart from that, if you want to really grow in your career and if you want to do something, please go ahead, reach out to me in this email. It's open.source.college with dots@gmail.com. Also, you can reach out to me via LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube pages are there. So ask everybody to like and share. Share this more, share this concept more, because as I said, I want nobody to be devoid of education. That is the biggest fear that I have, right? So definitely that's another thing. So I have spoken for a really long time. Now I would like to see what questions you have and probably answer that. But I'll drink some water. Just one second.
Sir, already few questions are posted in the chat box. I will request you to just address those questions. I will read out it. I will read out to you. Sir, there's a student, Harsh Raj, wants to apply as a content writer. Okay, so he wants to know how to make a good profile. Then so that people become interested to talk to him. He wants to be a content writer, so he wants to know how to make a good profile so
Okay.
that people will get interested to interact with him through his profile.
Okay. So being a content writer and see in the age of marketing and what are the different tools that we have, there are two things which I can suggest to you. First of all, one of the most popular blog platform is Medium. So go ahead, start writing your blogs and Medium. Even LinkedIn gives you an option to write small blog posts. Okay. So if you are focusing on this LinkedIn profile, create your network, create these different posts that I am talking about, and share. Join different groups, like just the open source college. There are different groups also, right? Which is specific to a technology. Say you are writing this for JavaScript or you are writing this for HTML, CSS. Join these groups and also post it there within the comments or try speaking to that admin. If your content is definitely good, people will get you will get noticed over there, right? So that is the way which I would suggest. And Medium and all are big platforms, so you don't have to worry about SEO and all. So if somebody is searching for something and if your content is good, first share it definitely amongst your friends. That's the first thing we do, right? Whenever we want to do something and we would like everybody to know, we share it amongst your friends. Share it within your college itself. You guys might have groups and all, right? Share it within that group. Ask them to like it, share it with others. That is the first stage. Next stage is definitely the other ways that I have shared. Like you go to the communities and start posting your links over there and comments and all. Slowly, based on the number of visits, the way search engine works, like how Google works itself, right? Slowly, based on the number of visits and all, and Medium will see, okay, this topic is getting quite the attraction. Let me suggest it for someone. It will come as a part of auto suggestion. So that is one of the ways that you can start building this.
Sir, Rajarshi Shamadar has created a web app. Okay, so he has just requested you to have a look at it through the link that he has posted here in the chat box.
Yeah,
So yeah, so you just can note it down, and later on, maybe if you don't get that much of time now to share your views on this particular app that he has created, maybe later on you can check it and let him know about your opinion, right, sir?
yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir, the Akash Chatterjee wants to know that if he gets into a software company, then what are the main challenges that he is likely to face as a fresher?
See, there is this problem will come to you in two different ways. One is the size of the company, definitely, and what is the your path or your thinking about your career. Right now I have opened you up, right, about how to think of your career. Now, first, the size of the company. If you're joining a big company, first of all, you will be lost in the crowd, right? Because the top management is not easily reachable. So you have to really work hard to outshine others and get yourself notified. Hey, I am actually a good guy. You should be trusting me and giving me the better increment. That's a fact, right? Say, take for example TCS, VPN. They have all standard stuff. They have standard operating procedures. You think you will have visibility on day one? Never. You will have probably visibility after 10 years if you stick to that company. That is one. But they have some good learning and development courses. But if you are already into that, if you're already working with communities like this, you will not face it, right? So you will be already there. Now, coming to the smaller companies, definitely good work will get appreciation upfront, right? So that is something that you will always get. Next is next the cons of this is you won't really get a good training package because day one people will expect you to start working because as they really don't have the time and money to spend on LLD and fancy stuff and fancy posts and stuff like that. They're all about work. But I have worked with smaller companies. I have worked with startups. In my career, there was a startup called C1X, which is a big company right now in the US. And have you guys played Pokemon Go? So Niantic, right? So they got acquired by Niantic last week, and I was actually provided a counter offer, but I didn't join because I'm quite well settled at Sapiens. So these guys got acquired. It was an ad tech startup, and they wanted to do augmented reality ads, which I had done my research on some time back. So this was the company over there. So I started working on a rooftop, right? And that was my first project with backend stuff. So so you will have to do all your hands on. So that is the big difference with bigger companies and smaller companies. So both have their pros and cons. Definitely you will have to think what type of thing you want. If you want a laid back attitude, okay, everything is moving fine, join the bigger companies. I have seen people getting frustrated, trust me. Smaller companies have their own set of frustration. There is too much work and all, but ultimately at the end of the day you will learn. And most of the companies are smaller companies, very few companies. Like, think of it about the so-called market, right? Mutual, I don't know, okay, you guys might not be investing on mutual funds, but yeah, think about small cap, mid cap, and large cap businesses. So large cap is really few. Small cap or the small companies are the most, and then are the medium sized companies. So everything has its pros and cons. So don't worry about the lot of challenges. I don't think, see, the biggest challenge is like getting lost and not learning what you want to learn. So if you think, if you can create other sources for doing that and overcoming that, I think we are good. It's okay.
Okay. The next question is raised by both Abhay Singh and Saurav Bhomik. They want to know how to start as a freelancer. What
See,
are the yes?
freelancing is a tricky part. Okay, so I got lucky because I knew people who were giving me freelancing projects, because a lot of time people don't get paid and all. Probably I will probably help somewhere down the line with my community to help you get connected with freelancers. Apart from that, there are sites like freelancer.com and things like that where you can give it a look. Okay, because they are sites who will give you certification on you have successfully completed a freelancing project, and they will take the problems of all the things like legal stuff and all. So you don't need to worry much about it. So, but yeah, definitely there are two sources. One is online big sites like this, or other is the known faces. If you have known people like a senior whom you have got in touch with some time back, and you can tell them, okay, if you have get any project, just let me know. So those are the different types of sources. So freelancing is a very I wouldn't say it's a very lucky. You will have to be a really lucky person to be in the right place. Most of the time it's a hit or miss, but yeah, just keep on the look. As I said, there are plenty of websites. So you'll be having or even like people on say a lot of people hire freelancers based on, okay, if you are working on Hacker Earth or Hacker Rank, and if you have good ranks on there, people will get touch with you via your profile. So those are also ways. Even LinkedIn is one of the community way of reaching out. So you'll just have to diversify of how you are reaching out to the network.
Okay. The next question is by Shomodip Paul. He wants to know how much coding knowledge should we have to be a part of this community.
See, whenever when I opened this up, as I said, I had a very open mind about what will be the audience like. So I don't want you guys to be pro programmers. This will teach you. The workshops will teach you. But definitely a good thing is if you guys have like some knowledge. Like we are going to give you an upfront certain videos, certain courses, free courses before we start any workshop. We will give you the materials where you can actually start learning if you don't know. Take for example the HTML, JavaScript, CSS. I'll tell you some of the useful sites. I'll give you some of the useful YouTube links where you can spend your free time and you can start learning. After that, once you learn, the biggest way of reinforcing how you have learned is by working on a problem statement, right? Today, take for example, a lot of people, a lot of us, we don't remember what we have learned back in our school days in history and geography because we don't apply them. And that is where the Western world is always above the Indian one, is because every learning they have is applied learning, right? So the same thing happens over here. We'll give you the materials where you can at least learn the basics using those material, and then we will help you with the problem statement. There, if you are anyway stuck, please go ahead and write in the post. I'll try with my friends to answer any questions or solve any problems you have. That for that we are always there. But the first thing is you will have to spend some time in the self study because, frankly speaking, today if you are joining a company, there is the same thing is expected. Nobody is going to stand beside you and tell you, teach you, okay, now do this, now do that. Those are the luxury in the college days because the biggest thing which you need to understand is in college you are paying to get the learnings, but at a job when you are actually working they are paying you for doing something, right? So don't expect it the other way around. So don't expect luxury over there it's mostly work. Okay, somebody has written my data pack is almost finished, can I leave
Okay.
now? That is
No, sir.
no, that is a
For
funny
the
thing.
next question, sir, there are a few more questions posted in the chat box.
Yeah.
Yes, I want to read it out for you. Harshraj wants to know which language is most important for software development and website development for Microsoft or Google. He is a bit confused that because maybe he has heard from somewhere that 4 to 5 languages are to be learned before getting into the IT industry. So just he wants a clarification from you on this.
First starting stage of your career, learn one single language, JavaScript, which is actually not a language by the way, it's a scripting thing. If you learn JavaScript, and that is what my series of posts have that I have started with my friend is focusing on. If you learn JavaScript, these are the following things you can do. You can build a website. You can write a backend code using Node.js. You can build mobile applications using React Native. So you are already finishing your full stack journey. Along with that, you need to learn any one of the databases, whether it be MySQL or MongoDB, you're good. Just JavaScript alone is that powerful. And recently a survey by Stack Overflow, which is one of the most biggest platform you guys might have heard of, 95% of people are actually into JavaScript. It is the most learned language, followed by Python, and then any other languages. So these two languages, but I wouldn't even say because you guys are starting your career, be good at one and let that one be JavaScript. Of course, you guys can also do Java and all, but JavaScript is definitely some of the things which the industry has adopted a really lot. So you will get lots of openings if you just know JavaScript. And of course, you will need to learn the frameworks like I spoke about Node.js or React Native or React or Vue or Angular. That along with JavaScript is what you need to go.
Okay, the next question is from Rajdeep Dey. He wants to know how to get into the ethical hacking industry as a fresher.
This is a tricky question. Ethical hacking is not something that probably you will be open like a lot of people will be teaching you, right? So and even getting a good start in the industry is also something where you need to do connections and all. So the first way that you can actually get into hacking or get yourself notified around it is we have something called penetration testing. It's a part of the Q&A process, right? So we have manual testing and automation testing, of which there is one more variant called penetration testing. This testing is done by banks or financial domains where you are given a website and you will have to try to break it. There are various ways of breaking a website. Right now, if you just right click and open the console and go to your network tab, you can see whatever different network calls the site is making. You can try to understand, okay, how do I get into one of the ways of it, and I can go ahead and start stealing data. So there are courses specifically for penetration testing itself. There are tools for it. There is MySQL injection and all those stuffs. So if you want to get into ethical hacking and like just don't get filmy about it, right? Because really you don't have that type of thing. Like okay, somebody from the police department will take you and then you will start hacking. That is not how it happens. Look for places where you get an opportunity to work as a penetration testers. So that is how you can start your career.
Okay, sir, Zaid Ahmed is a bit perturbed about the present scenario. He is locked up at home for this lockdown, and he has tried to do many things. Like he has worked on some APK, created games, and learned a lot of new things. But now he is a bit confused and wants to know what more to do, what more constructive things to do from the job perspective so that he can get connected to big companies. Okay,
So
and what skills he must means what are the skills that are required to be a part of this IT industry? I, I presume is what he wants to know.
okay.
Yes.
So see, as I've already mentioned earlier, right, it is not just about learning a programming language and being good at it. It's also about presentation and other set of skills. So if you are confused, like, and if you have created something already, congratulations on that, and upload that on GitHub as soon as possible. Okay, number one. Number two is join these communities. And number three is work on something that is meaningful and really presentable. Take, for example, you can take JavaScript as this language. You can build a full-fledged web application. Like you can build an application on WebRTC to say have video chats and things like that. Build that thing and build it properly. Write those unit test case codes, which probably in my workshop I'll discuss more on how to write unit test codes. Write those things and then highlight that in your CV that you know these type of skills and this is the proof of this. So at the early stages of your career, focus on two things. One is building on the other attributes, not just the programming aspects of it. Stick to one single language. This is for all. Either pick Java or pick Python or pick JavaScript. Don't be a jack of all trades, master of none. Pick one single of these items, work towards it, and also work towards a specific domain or specific product use case, because most of the companies are nowadays product companies. Very few are software as service companies. So think of a product that which you want to build, and that will give you a very good idea of how to use all of these tools of the things, and keep on building. There is no stopping. Like I have, like, in public repository, I have more than 80 repositories on GitHub. There is no stopping me when I have to stop or stop writing code. So keep on doing it. No problem. If you have already done something, go ahead above that. If you want to stick to Android development, just stick to Android development and learn it completely. Don't discard it in between. Okay?
Okay. Harshraj again wants to know how to get referrals for software development and website development from those who are working in Microsoft or Google in LinkedIn.
Okay.
Is there any way that we can be referred?
My friends are there on Microsoft and Google. Yeah. So definitely references can come. I can check with them. But first thing first, again, you need to understand how their interview works. Their interview is very different. Okay, it's not like your traditional stuff. You need to be very strong with data structures and algorithms. What do I mean by that? I don't know how many of you guys were paying attention during those classes. They will give you a binary search tree and they will ask you to write a code for it. Oh, so if you think you can write that code, definitely you're good for those type of things, right? So it's very important that you guys focus on these type of things, data structures and algorithms for these big giant companies, Amazon, Google, Microsoft. Everybody focuses on that, and they will have these written tests even before you go to the next round. So referrals, I can definitely you can share your portfolio and all. I can just ask around. Not that every time they have opening for freshers, but I can ask around. That's okay.
So Rita Madhu wants to know that as a beginner, what should be the correct path to moving towards data science?
So for data science, first is maths. So okay, it's not about programming. It's first is about maths. It's first about linear algebra and things like that, right? And the programming language of your choice can be two. One is Python, and recently R has caught up a lot in the industry. But I would say, okay, don't focus on R because you don't find a lot of materials. But Python, along with maths, is your first thing, and then you will have to work on a lot of different concepts. Like you need to apply data science, right, somewhere. So you need to find use cases where you want to apply that and do certain short projects of these data science projects that you want to, and then you can move. So starting point, maths and Python. That's what it is.
Next question is from Aniruddha Bhandari. He wants to know what are Microsoft security patch?
Okay, what is a Microsoft security patch? This is very interesting. I'm not getting exactly whether it's talking about OS level patch or what is the patch that you are asking of. If you could be giving me some more clarity, it would be helpful.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir, for your answer. Sir, Harshraj wants to know what is your LinkedIn profile name. If you can just inbox him here.
Yeah, I can ping it over here. I can
Yes, later on maybe. Yes, later on. Prithvi, Prithvish Rai Mahapatra wants to know does SAP has more opportunities?
Definitely. SAP is a big company and it has a lot of opportunities. Now, fun fact about SAP. So if you want, you see the problem with SAP is it is not open, right? That's the biggest problem. So most of the SAP stuff that you have to learn, you will have to purchase their license and all. So you won't find a lot of free courses out there for SAP. You will have to go for paid courses. That's the biggest uh, block that I find when people are aspiring for SAP. Uh, but there are opportunities because SAP is a product in a very different product altogether, right? And it has a very different ecosystem, just like OSS and all have their own ecosystems. So that is how it is. So SAP has good opportunities, but as I said, I don't know how will you get training upfront right now at this moment, because training you will have to go for paid courses. It's not okay.
So I think Shomodi Paul has a very obvious question. I think the answer will be very obvious that he wants to know that should he is presently learning Java. So should he complete the course on Java and then switch to JavaScript, just in halfway he should jump into the JavaScript? No, the answer is pretty obvious. That is,
Complete
please.
Java and learn the bits and pieces of JavaScript. See, I know a lot of programming languages. I know JavaScript, I know Java, I know Python, I know C#. The first fundamental thing which I said, it never changes. Object-oriented programming never changes. So once you are strong fundamentally in one languages, as a part of full stack journey, what do we call a full stack developer? A person who knows HTML, CSS, a person who knows at least JavaScript, and along with that Java, C#, Python or something like that. That is a full stack development, right? The more you know, the better. But first, the base is important. So if you have started learning Java, continue with it and learn the basics of JavaScript at the same time, because JavaScript is very easy to learn. If you guys go through certain courses on W3C, you will find lots of courses. Okay, so that's how you should be focusing.
So I can see that no more questions are posted in the. Yes, there's another question from Rajdeep Dey that I also had the same question because I'm currently learning C++. So I guess Rajdeep, you have got your answer, right? You have got your answer. So your query is answered by sir, right? So if you have any more questions, students, just write it quickly in the chat box. Okay, sir is waiting. Okay, sir is waiting to address and answer your questions. So if you have any more queries, post it in the chat box at the earliest possible. Yes, Prithvish Ray Mahapatra wants to know, is PHP required in web development?
Of course, there is PHP is Laravel. If you know, Facebook is created on PHP, right? So see, as I said, no programming language is big or huge. It's what like the industry is currently in demand for, right? So one of the biggest things which I know as a trend, JavaScript is the biggest demand, followed by Python, and then there is PHP, right? So it's more about the technologies that are currently in demand and learning them. The reason why I'm stressing on this is when you're out there looking for a job 1 or 2 years down the line, I don't know which year of college you guys are in, 1 year, 2 years down the line, you need to be there as to what people are looking for. When I finished my course back in 2010, right? That time Android and iOS were in demand. Right now mobile application development is there. It's still in demand. I wouldn't say it's not there, but it's not the biggest craze. Biggest craze right now is React, Angular, Vue, Flutter. These type of things are the biggest craze. So if you learn your basics, which is whatever you're learning right now, Java, C++, PHP, JavaScript, whatever you're learning, complete that, and then also try to understand the basics of what is the industry currently looking for, because that is what's going to help you get shortlisted much faster. They will think, okay, this guy has already done some projects in the latest technology and is good with the base stuff like C++ and Java. So let's go ahead and start taking interview. So you will get even filtered better, because the way recruitment works on Naukri, they will purchase a lakh of these CVs for a certain amount, right? And then you will get filtered. So think about the competition. So that's the reason why I keep on stressing on having some knowledge on the latest technologies and highlighting it somewhere in your CV.
Okay, Ritam Adho once again wants to know that whether he needs to learn any web development based or web development related topics in data science.
Not
If he wants
necessarily,
to,
not necessarily, but remember, when you don't get a full picture of things, right? You have learned data science, you have crunched certain amounts of data, right? As a part of your job, you're successful. But in the long run, you will also have to present it, right? You will also have to know the means of collecting it. When you are at a very senior position and somebody is asking for a solution, you will have to know the end-to-end solution. So as a part of the first stages, just learning about data science is good, but in your career, never ever get stuck with a single thing. Always learn the full picture, how to give the full solution. That is very important.
okay, Saurabh Bhomik wants to know whether there is any trusted advanced freelancer community for Python and web development.
See, trust is a very big word. I wouldn't say there are any trusted communities apart from those freelancer.com and certain sites. You will find lots of these communities on LinkedIn. You can take a look into it. But as I said, it's like freelancing is a hit or miss. You might land up a good, if you have good luck, you will land up a good client who will pay you and all, else you won't. So there is, I wouldn't say there is much of a trusted community as such.
Okay, Harshraj wants to know that if when he will be applying for internship, then there are some companies who wants him to identify a good or identify and differentiate between a good product and bad product, right? So, what are the parameters that are to be considered based on which he can do this differentiation, or this differentiation can be done based on what parameters?
See, couple of things. If you think about good product or bad product, you can answer it yourself. Take for example, if we take Uber, is Uber a good product or a bad product? It's a good product. How do we understand that? Because whenever we are requesting for something, it works fine. That means the architecture of the overall product is scalable. It is not going to crash because it is getting a millions of requests. It is designed really good. You know how to interact with it very easily. You don't have a very steep learning curve. So definitely the UI UX people who have worked on Uber has perfected the arts over the year. Programming is definitely, as I said, because it is so scalable, programming is also good. And the way things are, say, marketed and all those stuff. So there are lots of things that makes a product good or bad. Like, it's a very big mechanism. If I try explaining to you right now, it will be a very complex process, and some of the things will fly over your head, right? So I don't want to get into it now, but bring your better judgment, bring your common sense into place. Like, if you are using something, why are you using it? There are certain factors to it, right? You use Swiggy because of the convenience. The idea behind it is good. It's not just about the technical part. The idea is also as good as it is. The idea is important. So there are lots of things that go on that.
Okay, sir. I think that this is pretty much in this section, that is the discussion section of this program. Now, this brings us to the end of today's program. I would like to, if students, if you have any more questions, you can interact with Sir directly through his LinkedIn profile. Sir has already posted it in the chat box. Okay, just get in touch with him in LinkedIn, and maybe if you want to know something in depth, then you may be answered by Sir. Will definitely attend you, and you will and your queries will be answered, right? So maybe you can get in touch with him directly, right? So now this is about it, sir. Thank you, sir, for this wonderful presentation. It was indeed a very perceptive session, and I hope that all the participants have gained knowledge that you have imparted through your presentation. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot, sir, for taking time from your busy schedule and uh, participating in this event as the speaker. Uh, Now this, with this we move on to the move on to the end of the program, and therefore I would like to convey my sincere gratitude to our principal sir for all the encouraging words to keep us motivated, especially during this critical situation. I would also like to thank Mr. Shumanta Chatterjee, Administrative Head of TECB, Mr. Obhijit Chaudhary, the coordinator of today's webinar, and Mr. Shomaditya Roy, President of IIC TECB. And last but not the least, a heartfelt thank you to all the participants of this event. Hope to see you again very soon in our next event. Till we meet again, stay safe everyone. Goodbye.
Thank
Arindam,
you, ma'am.
hello,
Yeah.
hello,
Hello.
Arindam,
Hmm.
hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Arindam, I actually from the TECB, we feel that we need you very much and very frequently. I hope that in future you will help us in this way. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely, sir. This is something which I love doing it, and I really want everybody to gain the knowledge which I have gained over the years. I want to give that to everyone, and I feel it felt really great getting questions and all from these students. Young minds always make me really passionate about what I do.
No, not only that, you have not deliberately very clearly, but simultaneously you have increased and boosted the confidence among our students as well, whatever I have felt. Thank you, ma'am. Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
So guys, please like and share the community page, and you will get lots of stuff over there, technical and whatever you want. So I would again request you that. Only request from my side would be that, so that it also boosts my zeal of doing better work. So that's what I would suggest. That's it.
Okay, so that's about it. Thank you everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Thank you,
Yeah.
Thank you,
ma'am.
sir. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, ma'am.